Now with version 2.2 only featuring Cantarella as the standalone new limited character, there would of course be then multiple rerun banners expected to drop alongside her. In specific, the Shorekeeper's long-awaited rerun banner should be dropping, and we can also expect to see Camellya's rerun, considering these two are the last characters to receive a rerun before version 2.0. Now it's needless to say that these two still hold an immense amount of value ever since they initially released, but considering they are returning just after characters such as Brant, Cantarella, and possibly just before Zani finally drops, there likely will be some uncertainty in whether it's worth picking them up or their signature weapons. So with that, I'll be going over exactly how valuable the Shorekeeper and Camellya currently are through their kit standouts, whether it's worth considering their signature weapons, and to wrap it up, their overall value and what you should prioritize between the upcoming banners. Just before we jump into it, as always, would really appreciate it if you could subscribe for more WutheringWaves content and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Now kicking it off with arguably still the most valuable character in the game, the Shorekeeper is finally returning since 1.3, and of course being our only premium support offers a ton of value. Not only is the Shorekeeper able to synergize with literally any team, but can also provide great utility ranging from continuous healing through multiple abilities, increases crit rate and crit damage significantly through deliberation, amplifies damage by 15% through the outro along with the unique ability of auto-dodging to allies, and the cherry on top, deals considerable damage through the enhanced intro skill if built with lots of crit damage. So with those abilities in mind, paired with incredible flexibility, it is difficult to not acknowledge the Shorekeeper as one of the best characters in the game. With just the fact that she could be the difference between your DPS characters not being able to crit to then critting consistently, really goes to show how vital the 12.5% crit rate and 25% crit damage bonuses are when she pops her liberation. In addition, since there are multiple modes that require you to utilize 2 teams to clear, and considering Verena is currently the only other 5-star support, it then places even more value on the Shorekeeper in order to be able to clear certain content with ease. Of course, there is the minor hindrance with the Shorekeeper's first rotation being a bit slow, but once it's out of the way and you are constantly activating the enhanced intro skill, the rotation will take up less time, and to be fair, it's really nothing when considering the amount of utility she provides. Therefore, the Shorekeeper simply holds a significant amount of value given the current state of the game, and her rerun should definitely be considered if you don't have her. Now just regarding the sequence nodes for the Shorekeeper, usually I wouldn't bother mentioning them, but with the Shorekeeper sequence nodes in specific, they do kinda hold more value than majority of other sequence nodes. In particular, the first sequence node is a huge quality of life upgrade, as it does extend the Stellar Realm range by 150% and its duration by 10 seconds, along with the enhanced intro skill no longer ending the active Stellar Realm. So overall, it's a solid upgrade that ensures even teams with low concerto efficiency to complete their rotations within the Stellar Realm quite comfortably. But it can be seen as a prerequisite for the major upgrade behind a second sequence node, which provides a 40% attack boost to allies within the Stellar Realm. So especially since the Shorekeeper is going to be meta for a while, it would be worth considering these 2 sequence nodes. However, bear in mind they are not essential, since you can clear all content without them, and you should only pick them up if you can afford to. Now, Camellya should also be returning in 2.2, and despite holding an immense amount of value already, she is arguably now even more valuable since the release of Whimpering Wastes, considering the mode is pretty much tailor-made for characters that can deal a lot of AoE damage, which means Camellya is the best character to utilize alongside Jiyan, as both can deal plenty of attacks with great area of effect. In specific, as Camellya enters a secondary state known as Blossom mode, she is able to activate the Blazing Wall heavy attack, which allows her to spin rapidly in midair for quite some time and deals a lot of havoc damage. In addition, Blazing Waltz is able to parry any incoming attacks from whichever direction, allowing for majority of battles to feel much more comfortable to clear. So with just the Blazing Waltz ability alone, Camellya is certainly one of the best DPS characters in the game, but of course also due to the insane amount of damage she is capable of dealing. Similar to Jinxi, Camellya is able to nuke enemies through both deliberation Liberation and enhanced resonance skill known as Ephemeral, especially since her kit consists of self-damage increase buffs ranging from Sweet Dream providing a 50% damage multiplier increase to multiple abilities, along with up to an additional 50% damage multiplier increase through consuming Crimson Buds, and finally, a 30% havoc damage increase in total through both inherent skills. Therefore, Camellya's kit is stacked, as not only does it allow her to be one of the easiest characters to play with, but also allows her to be one of the strongest damage dealers. Lastly, considering the fact that Sanhua is arguably the best in slot sub DPS for Camellya outside of the Whimpering Waste mode, it does allow building Camellya's best team composition to be extremely easy, as every player does receive Sanhua for free. So unlike other main DPS characters such as Jinxin and Carlotta utilizing Zhezhi as the best in slot sub DPS, which means you would be required to pick up multiple 5-star characters and potentially their weapons, Camellya on the other hand requires much less investment to reach optimal performance. So on top of a great character design, Camellya certainly remains to hold a ton of value, and especially due to her fun and unique playstyle. As for both of the returning signature weapons, literally a version ago I would have had a completely different opinion on these weapons, but considering certain modes such as Whimpering Waits aren't allowing us to use weapons on multiple characters like in Tower of Adversity, I now have to say 5-star weapons in general hold even more value. With the Shorekeeper's weapon in specific, no doubt it's her best in slot weapon since it provides a 77% energy regen main stat, and with the passive, the Shorekeeper receives an additional 12% HP, aids Concerto energy when casting the Liberation, and when casting a resonance skill that heals, allies receive an increase in attack by 14%. So considering the Shorekeeper scales of energy regen and HP for majority of her abilities, the Stellar Symphony then simply allows it to be much easier to build the Shorekeeper. However, since the variation is more or less a hidden 5-star weapon, the Shorekeeper is definitely capable of utilizing it as an alternative and would perform perfectly fine. Although if you are using the variation on Verena instead and are using both the Shorekeeper and Verena in modes such as Whimpering Wastes, then you can only use the variation on one of them. So if you don't have two variations built, then the Stellar Symphony will be necessary to enable the Shorekeeper to perform smoothly. Of course, there are other options such as Call of the Abyss and Rectifier 25 which can be used as a last resort, but there will be a considerable drop off in performance, especially since the variation and Stellar Symphony are the only rectifiers that provide additional Concerto energy. So if you do find yourself in that exact position where you are lacking a weapon for either support, then it will be worth considering the Stellar Symphony. Regarding Camellya's signature weapon, as amazing as it is for Camellya herself since it does provide a crit rate boost through the main stat, along with a 70% basic attack damage bonus in total through the passive, it does kinda suffer from the same fate as the Stellar Symphony, in which both really can't be used for any other characters. So the poor flexibility means it wouldn't be the best investment for your account. But again, just like with the Stellar Symphony, if you are utilizing multiple one-handed sword characters within Whimpering Wastes, then the Red Spring will definitely be worth picking up. If not, or if you have multiple copies of the Emerald of Genesis, then the Red Spring will of course be not as necessary and can be skipped. Although with those specifics aside, the Red Spring is definitely the best in slot and allows Camellya to perform at her best, which means if you intend to utilize Camellya for as long as possible, then the Red Spring would definitely be worth picking up to extend Camellya's longevity. Overall, both the Shorekeeper and Camellya are incredible characters and would still be considered as better on their reruns. Between them, the Shorekeeper clearly holds the most value due to the utility she provides and the flexibility she holds. Therefore, if you don't have the Shorekeeper in particular, she is certainly a must pull if you do intend to clear modes such as Tower of Adversity and Whimpering Wastes with ease. Camellya on the other hand would heavily depend on your account, since if you can clear all endgame content and pick up all of the rewards with your current characters, then there is no need to even consider picking up Camellya unless you do really like her. If you do choose to pick her up, with just the fact that Camellya is one of the few characters that obliterates both Tower of Adversity and Whimpering Wastes, does in fact mean that she holds an edge over majority of other DPS characters and so would be a great character in general. Now it is wise to also consider the other characters that are dropping beside Camellya and the Shorekeeper. As mentioned, Brant and Cantarella will be dropping just before, and Zani is again potentially dropping right afterwards. So between all of the banners, considering the Shorekeeper is still the only premium dedicated support, she simply holds the most value, and you should definitely save enough to guarantee her before you decide on picking up anyone else. Aside from that, who you prioritize will be more or less dependent on your account and preference. Of course, Cantarella and Brant will hold more long-term value than Camellya in general since they are sub-DPS/support. But if you don't have Changli or aren't intending to pick up for Rover, then they wouldn't hold as much value against Camellya. As for Zani, nothing has really been confirmed, but to be fair, she is expected to be a great character simply due to the amount of hype surrounding her. Also, additional information on her kit should be officially revealed once the 2.2 rerun banners are still active, which does mean there's no need to then rush into the rerun banners. Ultimately, the 2.2 reruns are going to be huge for a lot of players, and even though characters like Zani and Cantarella are beside them, they will be priority for certain players, and especially as a newer player, they would be crucial and will provide insane longevity to your account. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Would really appreciate it if you could subscribe for more WutheringWaves content, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. Also, drop a comment down below on whether you will be picking anything up from the 2.2 reruns, or are you prioritizing something else in particular. And yeah, hope to catch you guys later.